never say this, but always add at any point any music that you'd like to include. I'll turn off my free LASIK. Okay, feels dark in here, don't know why. Okay, now let's begin on the back. Just extend the legs long. Let the body recline back. And just give yourself a couple moments here to work out any of the wiggles, any of the adjustments that you need to make. And then very gently, just pick up the head and place it back down. Invite the chin towards the neck. And pick up the shoulders and the arms. And then place them back down just where you'd like them to be. Maybe just rock the hips a little bit. Maybe give them a nice deep wiggle. And gently pick up the legs and place them back down. So really giving the body an opportunity to settle. And so you probably know in your practice, whenever you put yourself in a pose, you never have to stay there. You're never married to that one iteration, that one formation the body's creating. You can always make adjustments. And sometimes we find that we listen to the mind. The mind tells us to go deeper. And so I invite you today just to listen to your body. What's the body looking for? And see if you can figure out in this moment what the body is looking for. So maybe it's taking a deeper breath and letting it go. Maybe it's seeing if you can sink the ribs. Maybe it's letting the toes roll out a little bit more towards the corners of the mats. Maybe it's bringing the palms to face up towards the sky. And take one more breath. On the exhale, see if you can just let the body settle in the stillness. Knowing you can always make changes if you need. And stillness is always a state of mind. And see if you can tune into the breath in the body. Just noticing the breath where it enters the body and staying with it to where it lands within the body. We'll just begin to create some space on the inhale between the collarbones and shoulder blades. And the next inhale comes into the middle part of the rib cage. We find that we can take the breath into the back. So give yourself a moment just to see if you can breathe into the back body. Maybe you feel the mat gently pressing away from you. And the next in-breath comes into the lowest part of the rib cage. We feel the diaphragm draw down towards the heels. We feel the belly fill. And then trying it all together, we breathe in upper, and then middle, and then lower. And we breathe out lower, and then middle, and then upper. Taking again and breathing upper, middle, and lower. Breathing out lower, then middle, then upper. And just let the breath flow in watch it go. As you breathe, noticing what you can let go of, what you no longer need. And we'll slowly begin to bend the knees, plant the feet. And we'll take that block, bring it on the lowest level underneath the hips, and then slide it really low underneath the bum. And sometimes this takes a little adjusting. And then slowly, one by one, extend the legs along the earth. So we find ourselves into a psoas release. So notice if you've got any tightness in the lower back, you might need to slide the block a little bit more towards the heels. And take the hands and the arms wherever they serve you. So sometimes it's nice to take the hands to the hip bones because you might be feeling some pulling here, which is completely expected. And sometimes one hip needs a little bit of help. And you can let the warmth of the hand, just let a reassuring touch from the hands soften the hip down. And the chin is by the neck. And we sink the ribs and just very gently pull up on the pubic bones. This creates a little bit more activation in the hip flexors. And see if you can let the legs stay nice and heavy. And this pose helps return us into our parasympathetic response, or rest and digest. Creating a little space in the hip flexors, creating space with the psoas muscle. And just letting the body relax. And in case you ever have days where this just feels too much, especially with the block, you can always take a blanket, fold it and place it instead of the block underneath the bum. And see if you can let the ribs relax. And we'll stay here for one more breath in. And one more breath out. And then very slowly bend the knees and plant the feet and slide the block out from underneath you. And just lower back down. And if you'd like, you can take the block from top of the belly and just let it rest there. And just notice how the lower back feels on the earth. So you might feel a little bit more connected now to the earth. Maybe the breath feels like it's flowing a bit more easily. And so very carefully, we're going to begin to sit up a little bit, and we're going to take the block this time on the medium setting. So it's going to be long edge, and it's going to be running up your spine. So this might require you to take a second block underneath the head. So this block is going to be vertical and on the medium setting, and you place it behind the heart and let it run all the way up to below the base of the neck. And so you might need another block just to support the head. You might need to adjust the block just a little bit. So take a moment, just find your setting. And the arms are going to come out to the sides. And the shoulder blades will settle on the back. And you might let the head dangle, or maybe again, take a block to support the head. We won't stay here for too terribly long because this can feel pretty intense. See if you can soften into the shoulders, palms towards the sky. And see if you can relax the jaw. And take a breath in Let it go. We're going to stay here for one more nice deep breath. And then gently bringing chin towards neck. You can always use a hand to help you. And we'll sit up just enough to release the block. And let yourself come back down onto the back. And so if you'd like to add that pose into your practice, if you practice on demand, that's a pose that's worth adding. It'll help open the front of the chest, helps open the neck, helps relieve some of the congestion we find in the shoulders. I just don't want to put you in it too long because this is a gentle practice. I don't want anyone to hurt. So we're going to take that block one last time. And it's going to be flat once again, it's the lowest setting. And pick up the head and place the block behind the head and then slide it out. And slide it out to the point where you get a nice double chin. So the chin meets the neck. And you find the back of the neck stretch, and you can let the arms relax if the block isn't moving. And then notice the lower back. Sometimes in this pose, if you have tension in the neck, the lower back begins to lift up off the mat because the tension for some reason just shoots down there. See if you can soften the lower back onto the mat. And soften the chin towards the neck. Maybe just give the jaw a little wiggle. Let the shoulders stay heavy. I find that this pose sometimes puts me to sleep, so let me try to stay awake while I'm teaching this pose. It's very relaxing. We'll stay here for one more breath. And when you're ready, gently release the block. And just place it off to the side. And once more, release the arms. And just notice how the body feels. Maybe you feel a little heavier. Maybe you're a little bit more connected to the earth. Maybe you feel a little bit longer. We're just going to press a little bit of energy into the heels and turn the toes up towards the sky. Let the toes spread wide. And press out through the back of the crown of the head. So it's the part of the head that's just about an inch up off the mat. And as you press through the heels and through the crown, you might feel the core begin to turn on a little bit. And see if you could just gently pull up on the pubic bone. And gently bring ribs towards hips. And this begins to fire the core a little bit more. And bring the hands behind the head. So fingers come to the back of the head, the thumbs come just in front of the ears. And see if you can bring the index finger below the occipital bump. So you're kind of tilting the chin towards the neck a little bit with this move. Draw the shoulder blades together, lifting the elbows just lightly off the mat. And take a breath in. And just pull up on the pubic bone, sink the ribs. And then breath in. And pressing through the crown of the head, we're just going to lift ourselves up. So no intermediate stops. Just let yourself come up as far as is comfortable. And then notice the shoulders. Notice if they're shrugging up towards the ears. See if you can relax them down. And take a breath in. And just reach through the crown of the head. Maybe you come up a little bit higher, maybe not. And breathe. And on the inhale, we're just going to lower a little bit. On the exhale, we'll pulse up. So inhale to lower, and exhale pulses you back up, taking 4 more. Pulse, and pulse, and pulse. Using the muscles underneath the rib cage, and pulse, And then very slowly with control, lower all the way back down. Release the arms. Lightly pull up on the pubic bone, and we'll just bend the knees and plant the feet. Then slowly bring the knees into the chest. And just hug them in here. Maybe rock around on the lower back. Maybe not. Sometimes it's nice just to stay here and stretch the lower back. But listen to your body. Notice what your body needs in this moment. Making any adjustments that you're looking for. And then we'll take the arms out to a T, palms facing down towards the earth. And squeezing the thighs together, we'll lower the knees to the left side. Coming into a simple twist. And palms face up towards the sky. The right shoulder blade settles onto the back. The right shoulder grows heavy to the earth. And maybe if it's okay in the neck, turn the gaze towards the right fingers. And see if even here you can just pull up a little bit on the pubic bone, pulling down on the rib cage. But activating the core helps release the lower back. But mostly just let yourself breathe. See if you can keep the shoulders soft. And then palms return to the earth. And the knees come back through center. We'll slowly lower them off to the right side. And the palms face up once more. And the left shoulder blade settles on the back. The left shoulder grows heavy. And maybe you turn the gaze towards the left fingers. And just notice maybe the side is a little bit different. Notice how the lower back feels. Maybe finding just a little core engagement, maybe not. Let yourself breathe. And then palms to the earth. And knees come back through center. And the hands come to the knees. And just let the weight of the hands press the knees in towards the chest. So we're not really cranking them in so much. We're just letting the weight of the hands and arms rest there. And bring the chin by the neck. And take a breath in. And pull up on the pubic bone. And then breath in, reaching through the crown of the head. Curling the nose in towards the knees, finding a little ball. So see if you can release the arms. Maybe they reach forward towards the top of the mat. Relax the shoulders and just use the belly muscles, using the muscles underneath the rib cage. Maybe you curl in a little bit closer. And then walk the hands behind the knees. Inhale, straightens the legs. On the exhale, we rock ourselves up to a seat. Just take a nice comfortable seat. And see if you can relax the shoulders. I'm going to turn to face you. And bring the hands to the knees. We're just going to begin with a little bit of a circle here. So drawing the heart towards the right knee, circling around to the front, and then letting yourself come towards the back. So inhale takes you forward. And the exhale rounds you around. And so I really want you to just listen into the body. Maybe close the eyes. We'll take this several rounds. And just notice how the spine and the pelvis feel. Notice how the hips and the knees feel. And let that be your cue. Maybe you come a little bit deeper, or maybe you back off and make your revolutions a little shallower. Just notice what's there for you. Breathing in draws you forward. And breathing out draws you back. We'll take 2 more revolutions, just moving with your breath so you don't have to wing yourself around really fast. I've seen people do this in the studio and it's like, wow, there's a fan going there. And the next time you come forward, we're just going to reverse direction. So drawing yourself around the back and forward, maybe to the left knee. Maybe you're doing the opposite of what I'm doing, and that's fine. And again, just notice what the body is looking for. And feeling the breath. And see if you can relax the shoulders. Let this be your last revolution. So the next time you come forward, we're just going to stay here in this forward pose and just walk the hands out a little bit. And see if here, so we're not fully heart down, we're lifted up a little bit. See if you can draw the tailbone towards the earth a little bit so the lower back begins to round. And then maybe lower the heart just a smidge. Notice how that feels. See if you can relax the neck. Maybe the hands walk out a little bit further, maybe not. And slowly on the inhale, just walk the hands in, tailbone roots down. Let me come all the way up to a seat. And just release the hands down on either side. So you're going to lower the right ear to the right shoulder. The right hand reaches up, lands lightly on that left ear. And just let the shoulders stay heavy. So we're coming into the neck here. And so the left fingertips can hover on the earth, or you can lift that left arm a little bit. And you can stay, or maybe just bring a little bit of a flexing into the left hand, flexing fingers down and then up. And see if you can relax the belly a little bit here. Relax the shoulders. Let that right hand stay heavy, but not pressing down. And then lower the left fingers to the earth. And we're going to turn the gaze towards the right armpit. So we're just turning down and walking the right hand to the back of the head. So feeling into the back of the neck here, you can always take that left hand and tuck it underneath that left thigh. Sometimes that feels good. Sometimes that's a little bit too much. So just notice and adjust. And just let the weight of that right hand rest there. And then gently release that right hand and bring the chin down to the chest. Release the left hand from underneath the thigh. And we'll just pause here. And very gently lift the gaze. Hopefully that feels okay in the neck. And same thing on the other side. So bring the left ear to the left shoulder. And the left hand reaches up and over, lands lightly on that right ear. And just feel the weight of the hand and just notice the stretch in the side of the neck. And again, the right fingers can hover, or the right arm can lift. And it can stay still, or you can bring a little bit of flexing into the right fingers. Really, the flexing is happening in the wrist. Notice if the spine's beginning to slump here. See if you can keep the spine nice and tall. Keep that left hand relaxed. And notice your breathing. And slowly lower the right fingers. And gently turning the gaze towards the left armpit. So the left hand rests on the back of the head. And maybe the right fingers come underneath that right thigh. And breathe in. And breathe out. One more breath. And gently release the right hand. Release the left hand and bring the chin to the neck or chin to chest. And very slowly, very gently, just lift the gaze back up through center. And maybe you feel compelled to just lift the chin towards the sky and find a little counter. So you don't need to go super deep here. You can just draw the lower jaw out a little bit, jutting your chin, and look up just a little bit. And then release that jaw and come back through center. And we're going to draw the jaw in towards the spine, so you're getting a little double chin, and then look down at your chest. No one's checking out your double chin. And gently release. And maybe just turn the gaze just gently from side to side. And just notice, give yourself a couple breaths here, noticing any other movements you need to support the neck. Some people take neck rolls. If that's in your practice and it's comfortable, you can do it. I'm not a big fan personally, but you do what's right for you and your body. If you want to do a half neck roll, you can drop the chin towards the chest and then just turn the chin towards the right shoulder and then bring it back through center and then turn the chin towards the left shoulder and just keep going side to side. And bring it back through center. On the inhale, we bring the shoulders up towards the ears. And exhale draws them down. And inhale up. And exhale down. On the inhale, reach the arms overhead. On the exhale, let the fingers float all the way down. And inhale to rise. And exhale to lower down. And this time we're going to raise the arms halfway to a T and draw the arms forward. Interlace the fingers so the heart reaches towards the spine as we hollow out the front body and reach out through the knuckles. So feel the shoulder blades begin to separate in the back. And breathe in and breathe out. And the next inhale, we're going to reach the arms wide, widen your wingspan. Heart reaches forwards. We're opening the fronts of the shoulders. On the exhale, we draw the arms forward and just hollow the front body once more, clasping. And on the inhale, reaching the arms wide, bring them down towards the hips and lift the heart. So it's like a little Wonder Woman thing here. And stay for a breath. And just notice how that feels. And slowly we round forward, clasping the hands once more, hollowing heart towards spine. And keeping the clasp on the inhale, reach the arms overhead. And gently see if you can turn the palms up towards the sky. So you might bend the elbows, rotate, finding a little rotation here in the shoulders. And take a breath in, anchor in through that left hip, and we'll slowly side bend over towards the right. So keep anchoring that, let that left hip stay nice and heavy. Inhale guides you through center. And anchor the right hip, and exhale, we bend over to the left. And inhale back through center, release the hands, let the fingers just float down. And just let the hands land wherever is comfortable and just roll the shoulders up and back and down. Inhale draws the shoulders up. Exhale back and down. I think I'm eating lint here. And take one more round. And let the fingers touch down on the earth. And turn the palms to face up towards the sky and a gesture of receiving. And the inhale, gather everything you need for your practice, for your day. Press it all together with the palms and bring the hands home to the heart. And just pause here, letting the eyes soften closed, feeling the thumb knuckles at the heart space. And just notice an intention or a dedication that comes to your awareness. Someone for whom you'd like to dedicate your practice, or maybe something you're working to create in your world. And on the inhale, we breathe into that space, letting the palms open. And on the exhale, we press it overhead, releasing it out to the universe. Just let the universe work on your intention or dedication. Just flip the fingers down to the earth. And just pause here. And so we're going to stay seated for a while, I think. Let's bring the left shin parallel to, it's my long edge of the mat, but you might be facing differently. So parallel to the edge of the mat that's in front of you, could be the short edge. And then the right shin is parallel to the other edge. So if you're sitting traditionally on your mat, your left shin is parallel to the short edge, your right shin is parallel to the long edge. And we're just going to pick up the hips and settle them down. So you might notice that right hip is picked up a little bit, and that's okay. And we're just going to slowly turn towards that right leg. And see if you can settle the hip. You don't need to go very far. This feels foreign in one side of the body and less foreign in the other side. So you might be dealing with something similar. And then slowly walk the hands around to the center. And then walk the hands around to frame that left knee. And take an inhale. On the exhale, we fold forward. So coming over that left knee, that left thigh, you can walk the hands out if that's comfortable. And see if you can just let both hips settle. And breathe into the back body. And then slowly walk the hands in. And we're going to bring them around to that left shin, so right in front of you. And just let yourself tip forward a little bit. Maybe you walk the hands out a little bit. I'm walking off camera here. So maybe you lower the heart down or just begin to lurk over that left shin. I like that, lurk. So wherever you need to lurk, hang out. Very gently walk the hands back in. And we're just going to come back to our starting pose and see if you can let that right hip just feel a little heavier. It might feel a little looser, maybe not. And then very carefully, we'll switch our legs. So I'm going to bring the right shin around to front, the left shin around to the side. That's probably better than long edge and short edge. And just again, pick up the hips, settle them down. That left hip stays nice and heavy. And we'll gently turn towards the left leg this time. So I like to place the hands on the left shin. If that's not accessible, you can bring them to the thigh, or maybe take the right hand to that left knee, just to help yourself get into this pose a little bit. And just notice where you are. So maybe your pose looks very different than mine. That's perfectly okay. And then slowly come around to the center. And then walk the hands over to the right knee. And we'll slowly lower the heart down over that right knee, that right thigh. Maybe the hands walk out. Maybe the head lowers down. And just let yourself surrender. Meaning let yourself just notice what's there for you without resistance. Very gently walking the hands back in. See if you can sink that left hip and bring the hands to the right shin. And then maybe slowly walk out a little bit. So this is the lurking pose. And you might notice again that this side is different from the previous. You can just kind of gingerly bring the hands forward a little bit and just notice. Maybe the heart is higher or lower than the previous side. It doesn't matter. All it has to do with is where we might be carrying a little bit of tension in our bodies. And very slowly walk the hands back in. And coming back to that starting pose, just see if you can let that left hip get heavy. Just noticing what's there. And very gently, we'll bring that left shin around. And coming back to our comfortable, hopefully comfortable seat. Maybe our comfortable seat's a little bit more comfortable now. And just pause here and just notice the difference in the body. Maybe the knees feel a little heavier. Maybe the hips feel just a little more open. And from here, we're going to make our way on the hands and knees, finding our table. And just rock the hips. Maybe you've got some cracking and popping going on. I know I do when I first do this pose. And then coming to stillness, pressing the shins down, finding your fingers and your finger pads and finger knuckles, pressing them all down. And turn the elbows to the knees. And just notice that the back body begins to fire a little bit when you do that. And press forward through the crown of the head, back through the tailbone. Find your core, let it fire. And then just begin to roll through a couple rounds of cat-cow here. So seeing as you come forward into the cow, if you can keep the belly pulling up and in a little bit. And you can add the additional movements here. Some people like to rock or circle. Some people create little barrel rolls with the rib cage. So any version that you would like to take, it doesn't have to be straightforward cat-cow. If you decide to come forward a little bit in the lazy upward facing, that's an option as well. You can bring the hands forward a little bit. And then gently bring the hips back. So you can stay in cat-cow or you can move to lazy upward facing and child's pose. Any version, anything that you need just to bring some space into the spine, get the spine moving. So all that creaking is not my body. Some of that is my hardwood floor. And give yourself one more round wherever you are. I don't want you to think I'm that creaky. And then we're all going to meet in child's pose. So making your way back there, sinking the hips towards the heels, reaching forward through the fingers. And relax the head down. And we're just going to very slowly walk the hands off the right side of the mat. So as the hands go off, the left hip reaches back. I like to stack the right hand on top of left or left on top of right. I actually forget which is which, but sometimes one feels different than the other. Right on top of left is a little bit more intense in my body. And then notice that left hip, maybe just sway it just a little bit from side to side. And just notice how that changes the pose. And then gently guide the hands through center. And then we'll walk them off to the left side. So reaching out through the fingers. Just creating space in the right side of the body. And again, maybe just rock the hips just a little bit. So I feel like I'm just sort of rocking weight from one knee to the other. Just sort of noticing how that changes the pose. You always have permission to experiment. You always have permission to make any adjustments. And then gently walk the hands back through center. And maybe the torso feels a little bit longer, a little bit more open. So press up onto the knees. So knees are hip distance. We'll walk the hands forward towards the top of the mat. I like to take palms down, fingers wide, and take the hands as wide as the mat, so up towards the corners. And just lower the heart towards the earth. And just gently pull up in the pubic bone. Shoulder blades wrap onto the back. Heart reaches forward. And very, very slowly, lifting the torso first, pressing yourself up a little bit, walk the hands slowly in, coming back into table. And just take any movements here, maybe a little bit of a sway with the shoulders. I really kind of feel that sometimes in the shoulders, so maybe just drawing one shoulder forward, one back. Just kind of working that pose out of the body. And then back in our table, press down through that left shin. We're going to extend the right leg back, but tuck the toes and just press back into that right heel and just rock a few times. So the weight goes into that heel and the whole body just presses back, pulsing back and forth. And the next time you pulse back, stay there and engage that right glute. Lift the right leg up. Drop that right hip. Press through the crown of the head. Maybe that left arm floats forward. Just let yourself get nice and long, anchoring through that left shin. Palm faces in towards the midline. Right toes point down to the earth. Just let the body feel nice and strong here, nice and lifted. And then slowly lower that left hand to the earth. Right leg stays lifted. We're just going to bend that right knee. So right toes up towards the sky, roughly. And take a breath in. On the exhale, we round knee towards nose. And the inhale, we round it away. You can lift the heart a little bit here. And we're just going to kind of flow here. Exhale, the knee comes in. Inhale, it draws away. We lift the heart, maybe arching the back a little bit. And just give yourself 2 more rounds. That's like a total of 4 or 5. Moving with breath. I'm on my last time in, and then we lift it. And very slowly, we bring that right knee, right foot forward between the hands. And we find ourselves in a lunge with that back knee down. And just shift the weight forward a little bit, feeling out your lunge. You can let the head and the heart get nice and heavy over that right thigh. Just breathe. Just feel the weight of the body resting here. On the next inhale, anchoring through that right big toe, we're going to straighten the right leg, shifting the hips back. So keep the right toes down to the earth, reaching back evenly through the hips. We're just going to hold this for a breath. And on the next inhale, we crawl forward to lunge. We're going to flow between these 2 poses. So exhale sends you back. And inhale draws you forward. So I am told that this pose with the toes down is actually helpful for anyone dealing with any kind of sciatica pain. So this might be something you'd want to add into your practice. If you're ever feeling something, especially anything down the back of the leg or from the groin, I think this can help. And the next time we come forward, we're going to angle that back shin so that left foot is facing towards the long edge of the mat. And the right hand comes by that right ankle. So you can take a block here if you need by the right ankle. And we're going to reach that left arm up and over. So we're finding a little bit of a groin stretch. So I don't need to block that spot. So it's sort of like a warrior 2 with the back knee down. I'm just reaching out through the fingers. This actually feels more like side angle to me. And you're kind of leaving that left knee behind and sinking into that right knee. So you might feel this in the groin. One more breath. You're beautiful. You got this. And then left hand comes down. And that left shin circles back. So we're back into our lunge pose. And the hips come forward. And we're just going to anchor into that left shin. Find that right heel. And when you're ready, draw the arms overhead, finding your Anjaneyasana. Lift the heart. Draw the front ribs in. So really find your core here while you let the hips come forward. And slowly on the exhale, bring the hands back down to the earth. Sinking deeply into that front knee. And then slowly, last time, let's straighten that right leg once more, shifting the hips back. This just kind of feels like a nice counter pose in the body. And the next time you come forward, we're just going to bring that right foot back and bring the right knee to meet the left, back in our table. And just gently sway the hips. Maybe it feels nice to do some hip circles here if you'd like to kind of help reset the body from side to side. You can take a couple circles in each direction. Again, as deep or as shallow as you would like. And when you're done, we'll meet back in our table. Shoulders over wrists. I always feel like I need to readjust my body. Anchor into that right shin this time, and we'll just extend the left leg back, tucking the toes and rocking weight into that heel. Just find little pulses here, creating space, that left calf muscle. And the next time you rock back, shift the weight into that right shin. Use the glute, lifting that left leg, drop that left hip. Maybe the right arm reaches forward. And just get nice and long. And finding your core, finding your stability. Beautiful. And then lowering the right hand down, we'll bend the left knee, toes point up towards the sky. I always find when I point the toes up towards the sky, my left hip drops, because otherwise my toes are pointing over somewhere to the right. And take a breath in. And on the exhale, we round knee to nose. Inhale to lengthen. And exhale to round. We'll take about 3 more of these. That's about 5 total. Moving with breath. You always lose count somewhere between 3 and 5. So when you are done, we're going to draw the knee forward between the hands, stepping the toes up, finding our low lunge. And again, maybe making adjustments to knee and foot, and just let the head and the heart rest heavy over that left knee, that left thigh. Maybe you can relax the head and the neck. And take a breath in. And on the exhale, left toes anchor to the earth, and we slowly straighten that left leg, shifting the hips back. And we'll pause here for a couple breaths. Just feeling into this pose. Feeling into the back of that left leg. Feeling into the hip, perhaps. And then the inhale guides you forward to lunge. And the exhale slowly sends you back. And we'll flow here. Inhaling, bringing you forward. And exhale, bringing you back. And just notice the body moving like a series of hinges. And finding ways to make this feel good. Maybe feel a little smooth. Smoothing out the edges, as they say. On the next inhale, we come forward and we stay here. And we'll bring that right shin so it turns, so that right heel is facing off the left side of the mat. And the left hand comes down by that left ankle, either to a block or the earth. And the right arm reaches overhead towards the top of the mat. And again, we just sink into that left knee and that left hip. See if you can relax the right knee a little bit. But it's kind of like you're dragging the right knee behind you. Say a happy hello to your groin. Hello, groin. long as it doesn't talk back, we're in a good place. And then slowly lower that right hand down and the right chin turns. And we just pause here for a moment, just feeling the effects of that pose. And then as you're ready, finding your Anjaneyasana, reaching arms overhead, sinking the hips, lifting the heart. Beautiful. So see if you can relax the neck a little bit. So you don't always need to look up. You can look ahead and let the arching in your back actually lift your gaze. And then slowly the hands come back down to the earth and take a breath and lunge. On the exhale, we'll shift the hips back again. And the inhale draws you forward. And we'll just gently nestle that left knee back to meet the right. Finding once more, possibly for the last time, our table. And just rock the hips. And maybe again, taking little circles. Maybe circle in the other direction as well. And then coming back up to table. Not last time, second to last time. So we're going to bring the right arm up to the sky. On the exhale, we thread it through, finding a thread the needle. So the body should be warm enough now that you can keep the hips stacked over the knees. That right arm reaches through. And so the left arm, what to do with the left arm? The left fingers can go towards the top of the mat. If a half bind is in your practice and you'd like to reach the left arm up and over, you're welcome to. And if that's too much, if you're really feeling it in your shoulders today, then maybe you just keep that arm in front of the face or reaching towards the top of the mat. That's perfectly okay. Personally, I find in this pose, it takes a lot for me to find the bind because then I feel like I've just lost my balance. So that's one of those opportunities where listening to the body rather than listening to the mind will support the body best. The mind is focused on looking good. You already look good to me, so there's nothing else you need to do. Very slowly walking the fingers in or returning that left hand to the face. Inhale, presses the right arm up. And exhale, lowers it back down. A little quick palate cleanse between sides, just shrugging the shoulders. Maybe rocking the hips, rocking the shoulders a little bit. And come back through center. And this time on the inhale, the left arm reaches up towards the sky. And then exhale, sends it through. So that outside edge of that left shoulder and that left temple meet the earth. And the right arm goes wherever it serves you best. And you might find that one side looks different than the other. And that's okay. You're giving yourself what you need. We like to think of ourselves as symmetrical, but we're not always. Especially if there's tension. Especially if there's discomfort. See if you can find your core. Your belly's not falling onto the floor. And feel your breath. And very slowly, that right hand comes back to the face. Inhale, presses the left arm up to the sky. And then exhale, lowers it down. And then again, just a little bit of a rock in the shoulders. We're going to walk the hands forward, a hand print. And the inhale shifts you forward to a lazy upward facing dog. This is as close as we're getting to a dog today. And turn the elbows towards the knees, look down at the earth, find your core. We're going to slowly lower all the way down to the front body. So we're going to do a little bit of a shoulder opener here as well. So reach the right arm out from the right shoulder. So it's coming straight out. And the right fingers are spread. The right palm faces down to the earth. The left hand is by the left shoulder. And we're just going to slowly press into that left hand, rolling onto the right side of the body. And so you might find yourself stopping at any point here. That's perfectly fine. If you have that left leg kind of hanging out in midair, you can bend the knee, plant the foot behind or in front of that right leg. And you can just let the left hand hang out by the face in front of the chest. If you choose to take any sort of a bind, you can bring that left hand up and behind, place it behind the lower back, if that feels okay. Mostly just breathe. Noticing where the breath is going. Noticing any areas that need a little extra breath. Bring the left hand in front of the face if it's not already. And release that bent leg if you took it. We're just going to slowly roll onto the front body. And just for a moment, just bend the elbows, stack the hands underneath the forehead, and just feel the earth. And maybe if you like, you can rock the hips a little bit. So you can press the tops of the feet into the earth and just let the hips sway from side to side. Sometimes that's nice. And the left arm reaches away from the body this time, coming into the second side. So the left palm is down, the fingers are spread. Right hand by right shoulder. We're just going to slowly press ourselves onto the left side of the body. And again, you can bend that top leg or take any version of the legs that you need. And that right hand can stay in front the whole time, or if you like to bring it around behind. And take one more breath. And then slowly returning, straightening that top leg, rolling onto the front body. And once more, bringing the hands underneath the forehead. And this time, maybe bend the knees and windshield wiper the feet. So I find the longer that I lay on my front or my side, the easier it is for the lower back to kind of get like stiff. So we'll fix that. And slowly return the feet to the earth. Hands underneath the shoulders. And we're just going to slowly press our way up. Coming back to, believe it or not, table. And so I'd like to end our practice today with a supported child's pose instead of Shavasana. You're welcome to take Shavasana if that's where you'd like to go. I can tell you with the shoulder openers, I'd like to kind of now round a little bit. So if you're with me on that, you can take blocks if you want. You can bring them underneath the bolster. You can make a ramp or you can lift it up like it's on blocks. You can bring the knees wide with the bolster. Again, this is an option. You can always take regular Shavasana on your back if you choose. And you can add the additional props if you want to add a blanket up here. And we're just going to slowly lower the heart down. And see if you can let the elbows land roughly underneath the shoulders. You're at like 90 degrees. And just take the head wherever it's comfortable. And this might take a little bit of finessing, so just notice what props you need, what support you need. Turn the gaze to a side. Take a nice deep breath in. Let it go with a sigh. And just let the body melt into the supports. There's nothing else you need to do. Just give yourself permission to be here and to breathe. And always turn your gaze to the other side if your neck is cramping or getting a little bit tight. Slowly begin to deepen the breath. And gently begin to press yourself up off of your props. And just move them out of the way. Make your way to a comfortable seat. And just pause here with the eyes closed. Recall the intention or dedication you created for your practice, trusting that the universe has heard your call. Give yourself an abundance of love, compassion, and gratitude for taking time today for yourself and for your practice. The fingers touch down on the earth on either side of you. On the inhale, we reach the arms overhead. And the exhale brings the hands home to the heart. And I thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. The love and light within me honors and acknowledges the love and light within you. From my heart to yours, namaste.